Hey everyone, welcome to Your First Digital Product, a show that helps maxed out service providers create their first digital product so they can gain an additional income stream, grow their impact without increasing one-on-one work, and experience more time freedom. On the show, I talk to business owners who have launched digital products and dig deep into how you can create, launch, and market your first digital product. I'm your host, Renee Morozowicz. Let's go. Hey everyone, today I am here with Hans Skillrud, and Hans is a co-founder of Termageddon, overseeing agency partnerships and growth. He's a former owner of a 12-person web design agency and has had experience both buying and selling agencies prior to running Termageddon full-time. Hey Hans, how are you?
I'm good, Renee. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So tell us a little bit about what Termageddon is, just for people who may not know.
Absolutely. So, Termageddon offers the most boring thing on this planet, which are privacy policy, terms and conditions, disclaimers, and all the other policies one website owner needs to comply with laws, limit their liability, and keep up to date with the ever-changing privacy law and consumer protection law landscape.
Yeah, so many things. I'm getting all those emails every day. They're like, our terms have changed, our privacy policy has changed. You're like, oh my goodness, I get it already. Yeah,
And I'm
it's
sure
hard to.
you open and read every single one of it,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly right. For sure. So this episode is a little bit different. If you've been listening for a little bit, you know that typically we ask people about their first digital products, and we go into, the good and bad and ugly. And this is a little bit different because we are curious. I'm curious, so that's why we're having this episode. I am curious what digital creators need to do to protect their content. So when I sell something, I don't want people to steal it. I don't want people to give it away. I want it to be used in a certain way. And so can you give us some advice on that? So what advice do you have for digital creators to protect their content?
Absolutely. And I think before we go any further, it's probably best to note, please note everything I provide today should not be considered legal advice. This is for informational purposes only. Termageddon is not a legal service provider. So, being married to a privacy attorney, my life's a giant disclaimer. So, but yeah, it all kind of boils down to just one simple thing, which is having a proper terms and conditions on your website. So terms and conditions, otherwise known as terms of service, terms of use, or just terms, help explain to your website users the rules to using your website. And that is a perfect place to display a copyright notice, a DMCA disclosure, a Digital Millennium Copyright Act disclosure, as well as discuss the rules to purchasing digital products through the website.
Cool.
Refunds,
So,
cancellations, stuff like that.
oh yeah, okay, great. So I should outline these in the show notes, like what specifically those things are. So, what's DMCA?
So DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and it's basically a safe harbor for website owners who could maybe accidentally using copywritten images or content without their knowledge. And a DMCA disclosure helps explain to users like, hey, if I'm infringing on someone's intellectual property or someone's infringing on my intellectual property, here's who you contact to submit such a request. And this, obviously, it works two ways. Obviously, I would assume every listener here is not copying someone else's work. Rather, they're wanting to more so protect their work. But if something were to happen where maybe you put someone's logo up where you never were allowed to, a DMCA disclosure helps create that safe harbor for your business where it significantly reduces your chances of being sued for copyright infringement. It also serves as a place where people can go and figure out who to contact if they see someone distributing your digital goods that are copywritten and distributing it without your consent or permission to do so. So it's a wonderful little disclosure that can help protect people. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that is a great point. So we will assume that people are not, when they're creating content, they aren't stealing from other people.
that's a good
But
assumption to run today.
But
Yes.
just like don't pull your images off of Google Images. Make sure that you have the proper copyright. If you're taking photos yourself, that's great. Music, anything like that. There are free places to get music, or you can purchase music for use in products. So yeah, definitely don't steal stuff from other people, but more so on the other end, having these safeguards in place can let people know not to steal stuff from you. And I think you're a big proponent of this sort of plain language stuff. These are really like dense things. So do you advocate having something that people can actually understand?
Absolutely. In fact, under multiple privacy laws, which obviously is related to a privacy policy, multiple privacy laws very specifically state that they need policies need to be legible and understandable. And I think that's a good mindset to have when having any policies on your website, including a terms of service. So,
Mhm.
and yeah, in addition to the DMCA, the copyright notice is a very valuable one too. A lot of people, you probably see in the footer of websites, it says copyright 2023 or whatever
Mhm.
year it currently is. But what you actually want to do is have the copyright from the day you launched your website that
Ooh.
year, spanning to the current year, thus giving you protections for ever since you launched your website and produced your own content. So, and then there's additional disclosures that terms of service can display, which is the importance of people understanding they can't take stuff from your website. And, penalties could be significant. You could sue them if they were doing it maliciously and things like that. So, terms of service protects yourself, limits your liability, and it gives you the right to take action if things are being misused through your website against your own terms. And therein lies why it's so important when people are buying something from your website, especially and downloading a digital product or accessing a digital product, that they agree to your terms of service with a checkbox right before they make purchase. They have to click I agree. You can't have it auto selected by default. They have to check the box saying I agree to the terms of service, meaning that you've time stamped the moment they consented to the rules of the website, aka the terms, and you've now entered into a contractual agreement where, hey, I'm going to give you this in exchange. You get this, and here are the rules when you get this, if that makes
I
sense.
love that. Yeah, that's a great point. And interesting that you say, a date to and from. So, like, let's say they have the website up. So it's 2023. They put the website up in 2022, but they didn't build the product until 2023 and they're distributing it then. Should I put 2022 there just in case? Or because that's when they, as people, came online, or does it not matter in that case?
So I would put 2022 in that scenario because I
Okay.
still have my domain. I probably put up a logo or
Hmm.
just even my business name, and that could already be considered, intellectual property of yourself. So I would have it the year you launch that website. I mean, what's the worst case? People see that you've been around a little bit longer than when you
True.
really got your
Hmm.
product launched. So that's
Hmm.
a good reason as well, I think.
Mhm.
So
But, that could be a good thing too, like, oh, like, they've actually been around for a while, and that is good.
yeah.
Um, okay, perfect. So what about for people who are not selling on their website? So maybe they're using a third-party platform. Obviously, I don't know every platform that has ever existed. Do you recommend anything in case they don't have that checkbox, or in case, maybe there's no place to put those sort of policies on that platform? Is your advice maybe don't use that platform or put them in another place? Or, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is kind of unfortunately system dependent. Like it
Mhm,
depends on which platform you're using. Yeah, as a general rule, if the platform you're using doesn't give you the ability to get consent, not only to a terms but also a privacy policy, because you're collecting data at that point. Um, I hate to say, but yeah, you might want to look at other providers.
mhm,
I mean, it kind of speaks to the lack of care potentially that those firms may not take into account when providing a transaction system to download digital products. So, and when people are like, by making this purchase, you agree to our terms, and there's no checkbox, it's just a statement. I mean, that's better than nothing. But really, what I recommend is getting that checkbox clicked and consented, because that gives you the timestamp, and that's what
mhm,
I think is so critical. It's the moment the user took the time to check the box, acknowledge there are
mhm,
rules to the site. I think it does boil down if you are using a third party payment portal, which is very common and great. They're built for a
mhm.
reason. They're
Right.
awesome. They make lives easier. Um, Technically, it is based on your relationship with that vendor. So when you create an account with that payment system, you probably agreed to their own policies and terms. And I would bet the majority of them say you're responsible for your own website policies and your own terms. Um, I would bet the majority of them do it, but that's not guaranteed. But assuming that that is the relationship you have with them, then they certainly should be offering you the ability to at least reference your policies,
Mhm.
your website policies on that platform. And a terms of service on your own website could explain the rules to using the checkout experience they have on a separate site as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I like that. I wonder if another option could be to include I don't know, a shortened version or something with the product. Like, let's say you sell a PDF or an ebook,
Mhm.
at the end, it says cleanly, small print or whatever, like, here are the things, that are important here. If people are already maybe using other platforms and don't have a place for people to consent, would that be an option too? Like, well, when you open the product, when you receive the product, you
Kinda get the
acknowledge
high
that,
level.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're in there.
That's a good one. That's a great question. So there's actually mixed opinions on that one, actually,
Okay.
though. Some attorneys will say, well, that could be misleading because like they only see that and now they just move on and they don't read the rest. So, but personally, where I stand, I like that as a consumer. I kind of like to see the things that everyone kind of has the most questions about, like
Mhm.
cancellations, refunds. I would say those are the big ones that that matter with regard to
Mhm.
terms with if agreeing to privacy policies, it's more like we don't sell your data. Typically,
Mhm.
people like to see that. Um, but yeah, with the terms, I personally like seeing those high level reviews. I just would want to just reiterate the importance of still having them agree to the terms.
Mhm.
You could just have a simple statement. It's like we have a 30-day refund policy, whatever it is, whatever your
Mhm.
policy is. And then please agree to the terms below and review all rules to the site. So,
Mhm.
I'm not pumped about that wording I just said out loud.
Yeah.
Usually I can think a little bit more on the spot, but I would just allude to the fact that, hey, this is just a small segment of the terms.
Mhm.
You still have to agree to all terms. So,
Okay.
just kind of notifying users of that fact if you are wanting to pull out little details of your terms. And then I think this probably goes without statement, but I just want to share it for the one person who may be listening where this becomes valuable. Make sure that your refund policy that you pull out and place above exactly matches your actual terms. You don't wanna have confusing messaging because
Mhm.
that's where things can get really, awkward and potentially problematic for the website owner.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, about the refund. So refunds and cancellations, some people just don't do, like, once you buy the product, like, you just don't get your money back. I know that some people do it that it's, a lot easier. What about, like, the part where you don't want people to share it or resell it? Would that come in the terms as well?
Yep, yeah, that's a default, disclosure, like, within, like, the Termageddon generator. It should be done with any website selling things.
Mhm.
By default, yeah, you can't distribute this without our consent, should
Mhm.
be a disclosure.
Right. I do some stuff now, and, I advise my clients there's 3 ways that you can go about having policies, some better than others. One, if you have an attorney,
Yep,
contact the attorney and have them
100%.
write those policies for you, for the website to account for digital products and so on. 2, using a service like Termageddon. I know there's other services as well. Lastly, kind of, you know, as
Donor
a
links.
far off last, writing them yourself.
Yeah.
So there are options out there. So I advocate for people to kind of get products launched quickly. Like I don't really want people to have the idea that they have to spend so much of their time and money and life creating a product just to kind of validate something. On the other hand, it is good to have these things so that you're protected.
Yeah, I love that mindset because I'm the same way. It's an MVP, a minimal viable
Hmm.
product. It's how do I get what I want to offer to the market as fast as possible with the minimum amount of features, the minimum amount of, you know, widgets and stuff so that I can start to get feedback. And I'm so thankful we launched Termageddon and, we're more of a SaaS, but
Hmm.
technically it's like a digital service. I don't know,
Yeah.
but still learned that lesson. We were lucky because I was building websites as well for years. So I knew let's get an MVP launch. And I'm so thankful that I did because all the things we had in our heads we thought people would like, some loved it. Others had other ideas that were like, oh, that's way better. And then we would just and like all you have to do now is listen to your customers and for feedback, and then you're like literally good to go with running your business now. Like get your MVP launched as soon as possible because then you get feedback, and that is just that creates the snowball effect, which all you have to now do is listen to your customers and go, and you're pretty much good to go. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I understand policies can certainly be a roadblock or a bump in the road for sure to doing that. I would say if, hiring an attorney could take too long or be too expensive, which
Mhm.
tends to be, it usually is both. Generators exist that can help you get those comprehensive things put up. And one other thing,
Yeah.
refunds. I default to no refunds. Your terms of service is there as a last resort to protect yourself and I'd rather deal with refunds on like a case by case basis. If someone really had an issue and okay, I believe them, like, okay, I'll just issue a refund. Just when my terms say I don't, I can still issue one. No one's going to be mad at me that I issued someone a refund. But they protect me by having a no refund policy in case someone tries to abuse the system.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's kind of like specializing, and you're saying like, I want to specialize in this area. You can take any work that comes your way, but you're telling the world specifically, like, overall, this is how it works. So the same thing, yeah, no refunds. But if you come across one person who, for whatever reason, you just determine it would just be, I wish I could just give them a refund. You can't just give them the
Yes.
refund. So
Yes.
it's totally up to you. But I do like having that policy. It's the same thing like I don't work on weekends, my hours are 9 to 5. Like, but I can also answer an email after 6,
Yeah.
or after 5 if I want to. But, I'm just telling the world that this is my standard. This is the default. Yeah.
That's a great analogy. I talk about policies obviously all day for a living. So, and I've never actually thought of that analogy. Like I work 9 to 5, but I'll still answer an email at 6. It's such a great example of what we're talking about here. Yep.
I think people can relate to it if they're freelancers or, people in this sort of space. They know it's great
No.
to set those expectations. You're setting the
Yes.
expectations, and then on a case by case basis, if you need to change them, no problem.
Love it. Love that mindset. It's great.
Cool. Okay, so what else should we talk about? You mentioned the privacy policy and the terms. Was there anything else that we should talk about?
Yeah, I'll shed some light on privacy policies.
Mm,
Privacy policies, I understand, are not the most exciting things in the world, but they are there for, well, obviously a legal reason. And I think it's just important for people listening to understand that people's names, their phone numbers, their email addresses, their IP addresses, these can be regulated pieces of data under multiple privacy laws. So, as a website owner, if you're collecting that type of data through contact forms, payment portals, newsletter subscription signups, you got to remember that you got to find out the laws, privacy laws that apply to you, because privacy laws protect people. They don't really care where you're located. So, you got to figure out whose personal information am I collecting and then make the disclosures required under those applicable laws. So, a privacy policy is what is the document that provides to your website users their privacy rights and acknowledges your privacy practices. And that's another document worth considering adding as well to your repository of
mhm.
policies. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hopefully, we're not losing listeners at a rapid pace as I'm
I'm
talking
gonna
about privacy policy.
summarize it really well for
Okay,
people.
there you go.
I never know who's gonna listen to any of these episodes, but we're doing a thing. I'm learning something, and that's
Good,
great.
good.
I know people like in the EU, like that's a big thing. Like, do you have customers in the EU? And I would say with a digital product, you could maybe just have customers anywhere. It really depends on the content. I would say if
True.
it's something that's regional or, very specific, you might not have customers everywhere, but it's not like in-person business or anything like that. Like you could have customers all over the place. And I know that there are a lot of different laws for different places. Um, Maybe with similar things in mind, but they're written differently.
Yep. It require different disclosures and everything, but you nailed it. And there's also different consumer protection laws which impact e-commerce websites that a good terms and conditions will take into account. Residents of Ireland, I believe, have a 7-year default warranty on anything and everything they purchase, meaning that, as I understand it, they can get a refund after 7 years of buying
Oh,
something. I was like, well, what if I bought a car and after 7 years, I'm like, I want my money back. Like, what, how does that work? So,
yeah.
so yeah, the consumer protection laws are certainly interesting. Privacy laws are as well. And yeah, digital products, you're right. There's obviously the niche digital products, but I'd imagine most people with digital products would welcome business from anywhere.
Mhm.
And that's awesome. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just one of the challenges is how do you stay compliant with a multitude of privacy laws all over the world that could start applying to the moment you start tracking a single visitor from the EU or the moment you collect a single person's email address from Canada, for example. So
Mhm.
yeah, that can get hairy, but the good news there are generators out there that can help if attorneys aren't the route you want to go.
Mhm. And it's like taxes, which is what I'm looking for a guest on taxes too, because taxes are a whole other thing, that people need to take into account. Who do you need to collect taxes for? Where do you need to remit those taxes? For people in the service space who are just starting with digital products, it is something
Yeah.
that you should at least look into a little bit.
I agree. I think that should be a variable you take into consideration when working with your credit card processors, when
Mhm.
selecting a credit card processor. So, we use Stripe, which is obviously probably, I think, the biggest processor for digital.
Surely the
Um,
easiest compared to
yeah.
PayPal.
Oh boy, yeah, and it's been so nice because at the time of this recording, it's the beginning of 2023, and we're already getting all the data we need from them for tax purposes, for each state, country, all that stuff. So it's been so nice, and they, like, even have modules where you can just add taxes on top of where you take transactions and so forth. So yeah, that's a good, uh, factor to take into
Mhm.
consideration when selecting a vendor for your processing needs. So
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned disclaimers,
mhm,
and that's more for what? Health and fitness advice
that's right.
and affiliate links
Yep.
and anything else I forget.
Oh, you keep it up, but, like, I'm about
I'm
to put you on
trying.
Termageddon payroll here. So, disclaimers are additional disclosures you make, as a separate document called a disclaimer, that helps further limit your liability as a website owner if you're saying things on your website that could be, misunderstood. So you want to just
Mhm,
clarify that in a disclaimer. So offering affiliate links and explaining to users, hey, I have an affiliate relationship with
mhm,
XYZ companies. So if you click a link on my site, make a purchase on that site, I may receive a commission. If your website offers anything that could be seen as health advice or fitness tips, if you offer anything that could be seen as legal advice,
mhm,
if you display ads from third-party companies who pay you to put ads on your website, not that common, but maybe common if you have a
mhm.
blog that's really
Yeah.
popular if people want to pay you for exposure. Or if you sell any health products, that's another good one.
Okay.
Health products like diet pills, essential oils, nutrition supplements, weight gain or weight loss pills, weight gain pills, whatever it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just need to disclaim it. And I like to think of it as, you've probably seen a commercial during like a football game or some sort of just in TV where you see a commercial for a medical prescription. And, there's typically like someone walking around, there's nice, orchestra
Mhm,
music or something. But then the final 5 seconds, there's someone talking like 100 miles an hour
mhm.
saying like, if you're pregnant, don't eat this. If you're,
Yeah.
all
If
those
you're
things.
allergic to it, don't take
Yeah,
it. You're
yeah,
like, "Well,
yeah.
of course I'm not gonna take it if I'm allergic to it." I never know why they say that.
Yeah. Like if you start feeling like you're about to die, call your physician immediately, like call
Yes.
911
Yeah.
immediately. I'm like,
It's
oh
like,
boy.
yeah.
But those
Okay.
are disclaimers. And
Mhm.
that is certainly important
Yeah.
for website owners as
Mhm.
well. When your content could be misunderstood, you just want to clarify that in a disclaimer. So,
What about, financial advice?
yeah,
Anything
that's
on that?
another great
Okay.
one. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, that's another
Yeah.
good one as
Is there a
well.
list of that somewhere? I wonder if that's,
Well, it's typically about like not guaranteeing results, like, please
mhm,
know
okay.
we can't guarantee results. And
Okay.
it's a pretty straightforward
Okay.
thing.
That makes sense.
But it's important because
Mhm.
people sometimes may not understand that. So
Yeah. So those 3. So 2, if you're not, having affiliates, giving health and
sure.
fitness advice or whatever, those 2 are the big 2 to have privacy policy because you're collecting data
Yep.
and terms, for
Setting the
what is
rules.
acceptable to do with that.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
exactly.
Just to
Yep.
kinda distill it down for people, yeah.
Yep. In the terms will always say things like, you can't spam or like you can't spam us, you can't copy anything from our website without our
Mhm,
consent. It's things that you read and you're like, okay, yeah, of course. But
mhm.
well, it's important that it's in there.
Yeah,
It's
because if it
there to
happens to you, you
exactly.
wanna be
It's
covered.
be frustrating to have someone buy something from you and
Mhm.
then say, "Hey, get it for free here," like, that's not
Yeah,
cool. No one
right,
would like that, but that gives
right.
you the right to send cease and desist orders and things like that, so
Mhm. Even things like sharing logins, like when, so
yeah,
even having something like, "Hey, you bought this," like, yes, you could resell it, you could package it up as yours and sell it. Even just sharing that login with your friend, like even saying, "Hey, don't do that, like, this is for you and for you only," the
yes.
purchaser.
Yeah, terms of service helps
Mhm,
give you the right to delete their accounts and, obviously pursue legal action if
mhm.
your business has been damaged, because of their actions. Yep.
Cool, nice, awesome, yeah, okay, so that kind of clears it up for me. Yeah, so any other things? Any other things that we forgot?
I actually have a question for you
Mm.
out of a personal interest. At the time of this recording, Gumroad has taken on quite a bit of
Yes,
PR nightmare.
their fees.
That's kind of wild, right?
So for most people, for the lower level people, the fee was 9%. So going to 10% isn't really a huge deal.
Okay.
But so I've been doing some testing with this, trying to figure out exactly what the fees are. So with Gumroad, again, at the time of this recording, you can connect your PayPal account and your bank account. So with PayPal, it looked like they only took 7%, but then PayPal took a cut too. So the fees on these platforms are really something to look at and to look into. Also, Gumroad, so it affected people who were selling much more, because
Okay.
they were paying maybe 2 or 3%, and now they're gonna have to pay 10%. So it's a bigger deal for them, I would think. But so they collect VAT for EU residents, but you're on your own to collect for other people. So
Oh, wow.
as I understand, and again, I'm not an accountant or anything like that, but as I understand, as a Pennsylvania resident, I am to collect taxes for people in Pennsylvania who buy any, digital products that I have and remit those taxes. It is unclear to me at this point if I need to collect taxes for other states and remit those to those states. It's very confusing. And there's no central place, to find this information. But I've been comparing other platforms, and Lemon Squeezy, I don't know if you've heard of them. Great platform.
Excellent name.
Yeah, it is a great name. Yeah. They are the merchant of record, and they do all of the taxes on your behalf. So their fees are 5% plus your credit card fees. Their interface is very nice. And like I have a digital product and I've listed it on a couple different places and, had some sales and I'm tracking it through. And the only drawback for like new creators is that the payout has to be at least $50.
Okay.
So if you have a $15 product, you have to sell a few to get that payout. They're always kind of holding some of your money. But if you price it right, if you price it at like the $54 mark, you should be able to get your money on every sale, on the Friday that they send it out or whatever. So, there's little things like that in each of these platforms. And there are so many. There are so many platforms. So many, and if you have a website, you can do inherent things like WooCommerce or, easy digital downloads.
Nice.
Or if you don't, you could buy like Thrivecart as a lifetime deal, or you could use a service like, um, a lot of the Teachables and the Thinkifics and the Kajabis and the Podias have those features available as well. And sometimes they have like a free version where you can sell one or two digital products and then you go to a monthly fee. So it's really like, do you want to pay the monthly fee up front? It's very complex, very
Sounds like
complex. So
it.
I think it's kind of maybe a parallel to, privacy laws and things like that being very complex. You offer a service to help people with that, to help people distill that information down into, the most important points. And that is my goal here, is to help people launch their products, to give them, I'll go and do all the research. And based on what you tell me, I can recommend a platform for you. If you already have a website or you don't, or you already have an audience or you don't, I can kind of guide you through that. So I don't know
It's a
if it's a
value add.
parallel there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand that for sure.
That
Yeah,
was a
and
long answer.
Gumroad. No,
Yeah.
no, that's great. And it reminds me of the fact that I had imagined when Gumroad told everyone about this update, they probably said, we've changed our terms of service. That's probably how they
Mhm.
started off their email. And therein lies, the control you have as a website owner. You get to control your terms of service. You can change the rules as time goes on. You have to notify your users under certain circumstances. Um, but it's obviously important to remember that terms of service can create some negative responses if you aren't
Mhm.
careful in thinking about your audience as best as you can. So, it's a good example there. So,
Yeah.
also I want to ask you, do you think audience members would be, doing digital product subscriptions? Do you think that's worth talking about for terms of service?
We can talk about that. I don't know. My like I mentioned, my approach is more like MVP, get something launched, and
Cool.
a subscription comes in the future, so the show is your first digital product. But really, like, I hope you keep going. I hope you launch some more. I hope you keep listening. So, and that is, I talk a lot about like a product ladder, of having maybe free content lead into a small, a paid product, maybe that
Love it.
leads into like a one-on-one consulting with you, or maybe it's a group, or maybe it's a membership, or maybe it's a subscription. So, yes, that is something that, maybe people are moving towards after they create their first product. So, yeah, what do you have to say about subscriptions or
I
memberships?
love I love that mindset because it builds people up. It brings your biggest fans to to the final show, which is either a subscription or book me for consultations and stuff. But it gives them it feeds them along the way and get
Mhm,
constantly feeding them with value. So love that mindset. And yeah, I was just going to note if you do have a subscription system, it is your terms of service that would explain the rules to the
mhm,
terms or to the subscription.
mhm,
So the frequency at which you charge the subscription, how soon can someone request a cancellation prior to them being charged for a renewal? Can they rescind their subscription? Meaning they just bought the subscription. Do they have a right or not to just like have kind of like buyer's remorse 3 days
mhm.
later and then cancel? So those are yet again things you want to consider for your terms if you do launch subscriptions. One thing that's important though, if you're sitting there listening to this and you're like, I have this big vision for what I want to launch, and I'm going to get the subscription in there now into my terms. Well, if you don't actually have a subscription model within your website, that could create customer confusion, which
Mm.
is rule number one on what to avoid. So you only want to launch like the subscription discussion within your terms once you actually have a subscription feature within your website. So that's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I do think that sometimes people approach the policies with like, "Well, someday I'm going to" like, even, like, "I'm gonna collect email addresses for email marketing." I don't have a list now, but someday I'm going to do that. But, yeah, I can see how that could be confusing for people to, like, "Oh, wait, that doesn't apply right now." So, yeah, and I think it would keep it more trim for you, like, just disclose what's happening right now. When
Yes.
it changes, you know,
Make the
change that
updates.
and disclose what you need to disclose then.
Yeah, and
Don't forget.
it's yet again one other thing that we have to do whenever doing something new, but we're talking regulations and we're talking about customer satisfaction too.
Mhm,
So it's a good thing to just always have in the back of your mind. You
mhm,
change up your website, you should take a look at your policies, make sure they accurately reflect your current business
mhm.
practices.
And it helps you, right? It protects you because,
Yes.
ultimately, like, yes, you want happy customers, but you also don't want to, have something bad happen to you as well. Do you recommend yearly or, to double check your policies? Is it kind of like changing the batteries in your smoke detector?
So, yeah, a lot of privacy laws say at least once a year, so that would
Mhm,
be my recommendation. Even though that's a privacy law, we're talking about terms
mhm,
today, I would say that's a good starting point. Like,
mhm.
have that
Yeah.
calendar invite sent to yourself for, all right, let's spend an hour, let's review this, or however long it takes, but 30 minutes, whatever it is, however long your terms are, just set aside the time once a year. I know it's not the most exciting part of your day,
Yeah, but
but
you
it's a
feel
good refresher.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you
it's a
feel
good
good doing
refresher.
it. Like, I have
Agree.
a ClickUp task, a yearly ClickUp task, and it has my emergency plan attached to it.
Hmm.
And so every year it's like, "Hey, update your emergency plan." So I look it over, "Okay, well, this has changed. I don't use that anymore. I don't do this." Send it out to my emergency people. "Hey, plans updated for the year." Check it off. Like, I feel good. I feel
It's
like,
awesome.
it's so I don't know, little things like that. And I think January and February are good months to do that because really, like, what else are we doing here at this point? Like,
So true.
okay. All right. So any last things that we didn't mention that we should mention?
Um, I think more than anything, just reiterating that, like, policies and protecting yourself and educating your clients on the rules to using your website. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. I think I said that like 10 times in this recording, but it's something that protects you and it's something
Mhm,
that's there for a legal obligation and just to help your consumers. So, even if you don't read policies, that's not to say your clients don't. And like when you show a comprehensive set of policies, you're demonstrating your respect for those people's privacy, their rights, the rules to using your website, you're respecting your own product even more. So I would say for all those reasons, it's a good enough, in my opinion, to consider,
mhm.
investing a little bit of time to making sure you're doing things right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it feels good.
I do
Not
too.
one of those, it's like exercising, right?
After
It
it's
doesn't
done.
feel good afterwards. You're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm
yeah.
really glad I did that."
It's so true. I worked out today at
Yeah.
5 and it was the
Yes.
worst 30 minutes ever. But afterwards, I felt like I could take over the world. So
Me too. I'm working on through this program and this one woman, I'm like, "Ugh, I don't like her." Like, I'll be glad when it's over. But yes, glad that I did it. Felt good
yep.
afterwards. So yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So tell us where people can find you online.
Yeah, absolutely. So, termageddon.com and our footer is links to all of our business profiles and stuff. But me personally, I am on twitter.com, twitter.com/, deep space Hans. So feel free to follow and
Awesome.
I'll follow you back and we can chat it up.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Renee.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'd love to continue the conversation in your inbox. Email subscribe to hey@yfdp.show or sign up in the show notes to get bi-monthly emails about how you can create, launch, and market your first digital product. Can't wait to see you there.